Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to you all. From those down the road to the folks around the world. Welcome back to another Wednesday weekly video. Oh, what's this, you ask? Well, this is my attempt at making a Battenberg cake, and that is evidently the title of this video, and you will have already known that, and now I feel stupid. So I will be making, in this video, I will be trying, and I will be telling you a little bit about this cake and the Battenberg family name. So please do enjoy the next 15 to 20 minutes as I go through a number of Now, whilst the Battenberg cake is quintessentially British, it has its origins and its inspiration, and even its name, from Germany. You see, the supposed origin of the Battenberg cake come from a royal wedding in 1884 between Prince Louis of Battenberg and Princess Victoria, the granddaughter of Queen Victoria of England. Now, this was supposed to be one of the sort of set pieces, a celebratory cake for the royal wedding that, you know, you get at every royal wedding that sort of surrounds the main grand wedding cake. This is one of those set pieces. Each of the 4 segments is supposed to represent each of the 4 brothers of the family of Battenberg, not just Prince Louis, but also his brothers Prince Henry, who married Princess Beatrice, or daughter of Queen Victoria, in 1885, as well as the other brother, Francis Joseph, who died in 1924 and was the last family member of the Battenberg dynasty. It also has inspiration from its German sort of architecture and its use of the shape, its sort of square shape or rectangular shape, however you want to call it, the use of pastel colours, the red and the yellow, and even the design as well, the sort of checkerboard style augmentation, is supposedly sort of German in style. And the marzipan is supposed to represent the gold that would be found on German Rococo style architecture. But we don't necessarily know whether any of these statements or any of these origins, especially the more sort of famous origin of the royal wedding between Louis and Victoria, whether that's actually true. It is noted in many cookery books or cookery magazines from the late 1890s and the early 1900s that there was something sort of similar called domino cake or church window cake, but instead of 4 segments, there would actually be 9. And what is likely to have been the case that with these cakes and with this sort of very elaborate design of 9 segments instead of 4, when it came to the age of mass production of baking sweet treats for shops and for, you know, the mass market, it was cut down to just 4 segments in order to create an easier and simplified manufacturing process. But there has to be some sort of origins or some basis for the Battenberg cake within the wedding of Louis and Victoria. There is no necessarily firm proof of this, but there wouldn't necessarily be a story or an origin if there wasn't some form of truth within it. Whether we find out or not, it remains to be said. Now, the Battenberg is a quintessentially British piece of baking. It's named after the town in Midwestern Germany, the region of Hesse, known as Battenberg. It has its origins with a royal family between a German and a British. And it also is inspired by the German architecture. So why is it so quintessentially British? There are far too many German ties than there are British. So why are we still loving the Battenberg in the 21st century? We see a lot of the Battenberg family members moved to the UK and received high-ranking title, official status in the UK by the late 19th century and the early 20th century, especially once you get past the First World War. Obviously, there's a lot of anti-German sentiment in the UK, and therefore the Battenberg family name had to be changed in favour of a more anglicised version. And they were given, as I said, official status and titles and rank in accordance with that change. Now, the anglicised version of the Battenberg family name is Mountbatten. Now, if you know that Prince Philip is married to Queen Elizabeth, the current Queen of England, you may also know that Prince Philip is named Philip Mountbatten. His mother was part of the Battenberg family. But the Battenberg family name came to an end and is now technically defunct, a dissolved, non-existent family name, or even their titles non-existent. That ended in 1924 with the death of the youngest of the four brothers, Francis Joseph. The first member of the Battenberg family was Francis Joseph's and the other of the four brothers, their mother, Julia Hawke. She was the daughter of a professional soldier of German descent, a general in the Polish army. She had no title before that. She had no hereditary succession. She was not entitled to anything. She was the daughter of a professional soldier. She married into the Hesse family, who were the ruling family in the Hesse region of mid-western Germany. And it was her brother-in-law that proclaimed and created the title Countess of Battenberg in 1851, later being upped to Princess or Serene Princess of Battenberg in 1858. She would go on to live a long 70-year life and died in 1895. She had 4 sons and 1 daughter. So this family line is very short, but they have descendants, obviously, as I mentioned, in the UK, but also in other countries as well. In fact, the King of Spain, the current King of Spain, grabbing my notes, the current King of Spain, his 3 times great-grandmother was Julia Hawke. And in fact, it was his great-grandmother who married King Alonso of Sweden, who was the deposed king from 1931. The King of Sweden, his great-grandmother, was a member of the Battenberg family, and his great-great-grandmother was Princess Victoria, the granddaughter of Queen Victoria, who had married Prince Louis of Battenberg. So, royal families are inherently complicated, but it just goes to show that whilst the Battenberg family name and its titles were short-lived, there are essences of this original family, and there are essences within our culture that include the Battenberg family name and the Battenberg legacy. And that concludes my video on the Battenberg cake. I certainly hope that you have enjoyed this very different style of video that I've made. I had a great deal of fun making this. I did it because the Great British Bake Off was on recently, and they were doing a Battenberg challenge, so I decided why not make a video based upon that, and sort of go into a little bit more depth about it. I hope that it wasn't sort of boring. I know that when you sort of watch people making things, they don't necessarily go into too much detail about like the origins of it and whatnot, but I certainly hope that you have sort of come away knowing a little bit more about the Battenberg cake, and perhaps you can maybe impress your friends with some trivial knowledge about this humble little cake. So without further ado, I'm going to finish up the video here, and I will see you next week with another Wednesday weekly video. Oh, yeah, like, subscribe, comment below. If you want to see more of this sort of things, me making other stuff, please drop it below. See you later.